Hi viewers, in this video I will share a complete history of malaria with you. As we know, malaria is a common disease in many countries including Pakistan. We will go through the history of this disease, know how biology solved the biological problems concerning the cause and transmission of malaria. In this video, I will describe how malaria was discovered and how the physicians and medicians discovered the cure for malaria disease. In ancient times, more than 2000 years ago, physicians were familiar with malaria. They described it as a disease of chills and fevers with recurring attack. They also observed that the disease was more common among people living in low marshy areas. It was thought that the stagnant water of marshes poisoned the air, and as a result of breathing in this bad air, people got malaria. This belief led to the name of this disease. The malaria basically comes from the Latin word mean mala means bad and area mean air. It means it comes from the bad area or muddy or marshy area. For further clarification of the observation, some volunteers drank stagnant water from the marshes. They did not develop malaria. In the 17th century, when the New World, America, was discovered, many plants from America were sent back to Europe to be used as medicine. The bark of a tree known as quinine was very suitable for curing fevers. It was so beneficial that soon it was impossible to carry enough bark to Europe. Some dishonest merchants became to substitute the bark of another trees, cinchona, which closely resembled quina. This dishonesty proved much valuable for mankind. Cinchona bark was found to be excellent for treating malaria. We now know the reason cinchona bark contains quinine that is effective in treating disease. At that time, physicians treated malaria with cinchona without understanding the cause of malaria. 200 years later, it was found that some diseases are caused by tiny living organisms. After this discovery, it also became a belief that malaria too might be caused by some microorganism. After this discovery, it also became a belief that malaria too might caused by some microorganisms. In 1878, a French army physician Lebrun began to search for the cause of malaria. He took a small amount of blood from a malarial patient and examined it under microscope. He noticed some tiny living creatures. His discovery was not believed by other scientists. 2 years later, another physician saw the same creatures in the blood of another malarial patient. So here we got a point that the two other physicians see the same similarities of the small creatures in the blood of the malarial patients. 3 years after the second discovery, the same creatures were observed for third time. The organism was given the name Plasmodium. In the last part of the 19th century, many different causes of malaria were being suggested. By that time, there were four major observations about malaria. Malaria and marshy areas have some relation. Quinine is an effective drug for treating malaria. Drinking the water of marshes does not cause malaria. Plasmodium is seen in the blood of malarial patients. So these four observations make the point that could discover what is the thing that is causing malaria. We know that a scientist uses whatever information and observation he has and makes one or more hypotheses. The hypothesis made in this case was Plasmodium is the cause of malaria. So this is hypothesis made by the scientist. Scientist does not know whether this hypothesis is true or not, but he accepts it may be true and makes deductions. One of the deductions from the above hypothesis was if Plasmodium is the cause of malaria, then all persons ill with malaria should have Plasmodium in their blood. The next step was to test the deduction through experiments which were organized as the blood of 100 malarial patients was examined under microscope for the purpose of having a control group. The blood of 100 healthy persons was also examined under microscope. The result of experiments shows that almost all malarial patients had plasmodium in their blood, while 7 out of 100 healthy persons also had plasmodium in their blood. Now we know that plasmodium in the blood of healthy people was in incubation period, the period between the entry of parasite in host and appearance of symptoms. So here we got the definition of incubation period. The results were quite convincing and proved that the hypothesis Plasmodium is the cause of malaria was true. So this hypothesis was accepted at this time when they seen the incubation period. Malaria has killed more people than any other disease. The account of malaria is an example of a biological problem and how of such problems are solved. Next biological problem was to learn about how plasmodium get into the blood of man. Biologists were having farming observation. Malaria is associated with marshes. Drinking water of marshes does not cause malaria. So there's two different suggestions. So how the biologists detect this observation? Let's discuss another paragraph. From these observations, it can be concluded that Plasmodium was not in the marsh water, but it must be carried by something that comes to marsh water. In 1883, a physician A. F. A. King listed 20 observations. Some important observations of King were: people who slept outdoors were more likely to get malaria than those who slept indoors. People who slept under fine nets were less likely to get malaria than those who did not use such nets. An individual who slept near a smoky fire usually did not get malaria. On the basis of these observations, King suggested a hypothesis. Mosquitoes transmit plasmodium and so are involved in the spread of malaria. So here's a new name came that mosquitoes is the transmitter of this disease. Following deductions were made considering the hypothesis as true. If mosquitoes are involved in the spread of malaria, then plasmodium should be present in mosquitoes. A mosquito can get plasmodium by biting a malarial patient. In order to test the above deductions, Ronald Rose, a British Army physician working in India in 1880s, performed important experiments. He allowed a female Anopheles mosquito to bite a malarial patient. He killed the mosquito some days later and found Plasmodium multiplying in mosquito's stomach. So here we should remember the name of the female mosquitoes Anopheles who bite the malarial patient. The next biological experiment was to allow an infected mosquito having plasmodium to bite a healthy person. If hypothesis was true, the healthy person would have got malaria. But scientists avoid using human beings for experiments when results can be so serious. Rose should use sparrows and redesigned his experiment. He allowed a female Culex mosquito to bite the sparrows suffering from malaria. Some of the mosquitoes were killed and studied at various times. Ross found that Plasmodium multiplied in the wall of mosquitoes' stomach and then moved to the mosquitoes' salivary glands. He kept some mosquitoes alive and allowed them to bite healthy sparrows. Ross found that the saliva of the infected mosquitoes contained plasmodia, plural of plasmodium, and these entered the sparrow's blood. When he examined the blood of these previously healthy sparrows, he found many plasmodia in the end of this hypothesis was tested by direct experimentation on human beings. In 1898, Italian biologists allowed an Anopheles mosquito to bite a malarial patient. The mosquito was kept for a few days and then it was allowed to bite a healthy man. This person later became ill with malaria. In this way, it was confirmed that mosquitoes transmit plasmodium and spread malaria. As we can show in this figure, Ronald Rose is the scientist who made experiment on this. Here is the female Anopheles who bite a man ill with malaria. The plasmodia multiplied the Anopheles and then Anopheles when bite a healthy man, it became ill with malaria. So here we got the history of malaria, that how it transmitted and how it spread from person to person and how much destruction is caused by plasmodium which is transmitted by mosquitoes. Hope so you will like my video. Keep following for next interesting topics. Thank you.